The expedition itself will begin in the spring of 1995. But Steger, as he explains to these international students at his Ely homestead, is busy designing and testing equipment he'll use on the big trip and the preliminary trips, equipment like this sled canoe.
So the first 1,000 miles is in the winter, and the ice is frozen like this, so we're traveling with dogs. And then in June, the ice starts breaking. We'll fly the dogs out, and then we'll go with a canoe that has, I'll show you in a minute, runners. So you're able to pull over the ice and then paddle over the water. And this was last April when we were in the Arctic with Victor, we did an experiment. We made this runner on this canoe to see if our idea would work. The idea of a canoe and a sled, so you've got water and ice. But we experimented with shapes. We made one big mistake, which was okay. The idea was to first see if our concept was right, and it worked very well. But the problem is that we had a real flat runner. So when you had a piece of ice, it would hit real hard. So what we're going to do next year is we're going to change this curve. We have to find out what the proper curve is. Because with the proper curve, the sled will go over the ice with very, very, very little energy. Using the canoe and the sled, it's now possible to travel in areas where no one has ever been able to travel.
The goals of Steger's Arctic project are to create a permanent network of schools for students to talk with each other, and to establish a program model for that network that can be used to study environmental topics other than the Arctic.
We're sending information out, but it's the interaction of the schools. This is how the 95 project would work, is we deal with a fascinating expedition and also the environment of the Arctic, with the wildlife culture is fascinating. This will draw the curiosity of the students. Around that, we're developing a content, but then we spread that. As we're traveling from day to day, we have various adventures that the students follow. If it's a polar bear, they're studying migration of bears, and then they might study the migration of animals in their local area. But then from there, they interact with each other.
Steger's 95 expedition may not draw the broad media attention that his trek across Antarctica did, but it will have its moments in the 2,500 miles.
The trip is actually quite dangerous, but it's our training was our safety margin. The only thing predictable about the Arctic Ocean is it's unpredictable. It's ice that's constantly moving, and when you have 70-mile-an-hour storms, the ice is really moving and crushing and so forth. So you have to always use your instincts, your intuition, your training to read the ice and to place yourself in the safe area. But you do that by the training, by the equipment, by the right dogs, and a lot of combined knowledge. We'll have probably over 100 years of combined knowledge in that area between the 6 of us.
This summer, Steger and 30 teachers and administrators met on the St. Thomas campus to discuss how and what kids will learn in as many as 3,000 schools around the country and the world. They came from Germany, Denmark, Japan, China, and France, and from Roseville, Rochester, and West Salem, Wisconsin. They seemed impressed by the program and its potential impact on kids, and the group caught Steger's spirit of excitement and enthusiasm.
For us to be able to send out data and information to all parts of the world, and maybe with the same day or the next day receive back an answer, that's a very empowering kind of opportunity that we're allowing the kids.
Watching Steger, one can sense his skill as a teacher, even when he's demonstrating a new Gore-Tex dry suit.
You put it on over your insulation, and around the neck and the arms, it's sealed. The feet is sealed. So you put it on, you have insulation, and then this. So if you fall in the water, you can stay alive.
Steger, in the quiet of the Ely homestead, seems to be moving beyond the equipment and the excitement of adventuring. Call it a contentment, a sense of himself that moves beyond the TV tracks and the newspaper headlines.
I've also seen my life as a development, a spiritual development, that you don't age, you get younger, your spirit gets younger, you become more aware with experience and age. So it's almost the opposite of our culture. I remember when I was 18, I used to think 23 was old, and then, you know, after that, it's downhill. But that was focusing again on the physical. That is not really part of it. That's just a basic mechanics. It's you know, it's seeing your real strength of your spirit. My hope with my life is that I could contribute to education, to a new way of seeing life, of a higher consciousness. If I could be part of the spirit of that contribution, not an individual, but as a spirit that's not necessarily known 20 years after I'm dead, that would be my goal in my life.